welcome back, listeners, to the Mindful Living podcast with your host, Sana. Today, we are diving into a life changing topic, breaking free from addiction and reclaiming control over your life. And joining us in this incredible conversation is Meridee Hlokoff, founder of LaserQuit, who has been transforming lives since 2011 with her revolutionary cold laser therapy program. Listeners, with success rate as high as 98%, Meridee's mission is to help people overcome addiction and unlock their healthiest, happiest selves. So, whether you are curious about innovative approaches to quit smoking, drinking, or other addictions, or just looking for inspiration to make a big life change, you are in for an eye-opening conversation, listeners. So, let's get quickly started. Meridee, welcome to the show, and it is an absolute pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And thank you for being so willing to share this life-changing therapy.
Absolutely. Meridee, to start with, on a personal note, can you share the journey that led you to create LaserQuit and dedicate yourself to helping people overcome addiction?
I can. So the way this started for me was I am actually an ex-smoker. I haven't actually been addicted to drugs or alcohol. But my story was that I was like so many other people who tried so hard to quit smoking and I just could not find a solution.
Mhm.
I was on a pill and the pill was making me so sick that I was desperate and I needed to get off of the pill. So I posted on my social media, someone help me. I need a solution. I'm on this pill and it's making me sick. And a friend of mine responded and said, hey, you need to try cold laser therapy. And so I said, oh my goodness, yes, I'm in. And her friend commented, you can't tell anyone how to quit smoking because you still smoke. And so I took that. And I got on a call with her and I said, tell me about this. And she said, well, I chose to start smoking again. I wasn't quite ready to quit, but I did quit for a year using the cold laser. And so I looked into it. I made my appointment. I drove 3 hours to go get the treatment. I had the treatment and then I drove my 3 hours home. And on my way home, I had this like strange, I forgot to smoke. And it was interesting because the person that was in the car with me said, hey, are you going to quit at some point? And I like looked over at him and said, I don't understand. What do you mean? And he's like, well, we're driving down the road. He's like, you're telling me you didn't think about it. And I said, no. And he's like, well, we're driving down the road. You keep rolling your window down and then patting the center console for your cigarettes. He said, and then you just go back to driving. And I was like, oh, weird. I didn't even realize I was reaching for it. And he said, wow, so your habits are clearly still there. But the thought is a major part of us not being able to give up our addiction. So when we, there's a really fine line between our desire and our need, and me wanting to smoke versus me needing physically to smoke is a really hard thing to see the difference between until you have a treatment like this. And so for me, the first time that I did the treatment, because yes, I did fall off my wagon after 5 years. I quit for 5 years. And then I fell off my wagon. I went back, I had another treatment. And I then learned what it was like for the 15% of people who do struggle with this. So what I tell to people is typically with this treatment, there's 85% of people who will completely forget to smoke. They'll forget to use their drugs. They'll not need it all. And then there's the 15% who struggle. And I've had both experiences. The first time I just completely forgot to smoke and it was the easiest thing I had ever done. I started smoking again because everyone was in my yard. We were doing a barbecue and every single person that was there was smoking. And I just was like, oh, I'll take that. And so I took half of a cigarette and that was all it took for me to start again. Even though it was disgusting to me, I had basically opened up my nicotine receptors. So I went down and had the treatment again, came home, and I actually struggled the second time. But knowing that I had the struggle, I had purchased this training and some lasers when I went down and had it the second time. And so I committed to finding my way through it. And because I actually experienced the struggle, I was able to create a program that has the long-term solution. And we have 95% success rates at about a year using our methods. So you'll find that like our competitors will be like, oh, come in and we have 98% success rates. They do. And so do we in that first couple weeks. That's not long enough to stop a habit. It takes us significantly longer to do so. So I went through this process and was able to really find a way to support people, because in smoking, there isn't a program that will offer you support when you're struggling. And that was one of the things that I did do. And then as I've evolved through the process, like I used the first 5 years, I tried different timing and sequencing and basically experimented on people. And in that 5-year period, I was able to find something that really worked and something that really stuck. And then during that time as well, a friend of mine came to me and said, like my child is struggling with addiction and you helped me with smoking. Is there any way you think you could help with this? And I was like, I think I could. Let's look into the science of it. So I did. I dug into the science, and then I brought them in, and we actually were able to help them get sober. And so they stayed sober for a long period of time. I actually believe they're still sober to this day. And we were able to just start seeing success like that. So I started working with more and more people in addiction to make sure that this was like a long-term sustainable thing.
Wow, that's a heck of a journey, Meridee. And I think the best part is you have seen both the sides, not just only the positive one, but the actual process, the actual journey, where it doesn't work in just one go, but it takes a lot of time. Yes. Right. That's really, really authentic and genuine. So for those who are unfamiliar, in fact, me as well, could you explain what cold laser therapy is and how does it work in the context of breaking addiction?
Yes. So cold laser therapy is based on acupuncture. So acupuncture has been around for thousands and thousands of years. And what we use is a class 3B laser, which is a low level radiation. So it's low level, it's not going to hurt you, combined with LED light. And the combination of the two on these various spots that we've spent 5 years studying, what it does is it releases massive amounts of endorphins in your brain. And that allows us to basically trick your brain into thinking it's already got the fix. So when you use drugs, alcohol, smoking, any of those things, you're releasing high levels of different endorphins inside your brain. And those different levels of different endorphins give you the different sensations. So when you drink, you have a high level of dopamine released for the first 20 minutes before that crashes. And that's why people will have a second drink within 20 to 30 minutes. When you use cocaine, it releases high levels of dopamine, that lasting about 30 or 40 minutes before someone then wants to do another line. The thing is, the days after you have used these substances, your body now needs time to recover from the use that you have done. So because it has overproduced dopamine for the evening, the next day, a lot of people will say they feel suicidal, that the next day is the worst day of their lives, those types of things. And what we actually do with our treatment is we actually go in and release all of the different levels of endorphins at a heightened level that even as using drugs or alcohol, you can't match. So we're going to over-release endorphins in your body, allowing your body to basically recover a little bit quicker. And then on top of that, long-term use with addiction, your brain stops operating in the same sense. You're changing the physical and the chemical makeup of your brain with long-term use. And what we're doing is giving your body instruction to go back in and fix itself. So we go in and trick your brain into thinking it's already got the fix so that you don't have the withdrawal symptoms and you don't have to wait that 14 to 18 months, which is why people end up relapsing, is because 14 to 18 months it takes for your brain to try to regulate itself back to normal. And even then, it's back to as normal as it can be. It's not going to be like a me or you normal. If you've never used, that normal level that I have will never be your normal. But to get you to a place where your brain is as normal as it's going to get takes 14 to 18 months. With LaserQuit, it's a couple of months and it's immediate, but it's retraining your brain. So it takes us some time to continue with treatments to really create the outcome that we're looking for and then teach your brain to make this a new level of normal.
Interesting. This is interesting. So you mentioned that the success rates, the rate actually goes around 95%. What do you believe makes your program so effective compared to other available methods?
So I think compared to a lot of the other methods is the fact that we're actually able to really truly retrain your brain. And we're doing that in a quicker way without having to wait for your body to do so. Because long-term use of anything that we use, whether it's cigarettes, drugs, alcohol, long-term use of these things really does change the chemical makeup of your brain. And then when we stop using them, it takes a while for your brain to recoup. And it takes a even longer time for your brain to go back to what it was before. And with laser, we're able to actually get your brain almost back to that normal level relatively quickly, as well as almost over the long term, we're able to get you back to a place where your brain will be recovered before the time that you end up wanting to relapse. So it has a lot to do with the program that I've developed and the way that we use the treatments, as well as the sequencing, timing, and lasers that we're using. So I think that spending 5 years of my life experimenting on people to see what would really work has a lot to do with what we're able to accomplish. Someone who uses cold laser therapy could see immediate results, but they may not see the lasting results that they're looking for. And that's the thing that we have found. Our success rates are not based on your first couple treatments with us. Our success rates are based on long-term results. And we say long-term, meaning at 1 year. Because if you decide to relapse, you decide to use again at 1 year, you are making a conscious choice to do so. It's not because you physically needed to do so.
That's logical.
Yeah.
Really, great, Meridee. Another aspect of addiction, it's often deeply connected to emotional and mental health. Some kind of ingrained trauma.
Yes.
Where it is taken as a kind of mechanism to cope up with those traumatic memories. How does your program address those underlying issues?
So one of the things that I have really found, especially in my work with addictions over the last 13 years, is that the drug or the alcohol is actually not the problem at all. The drug or the alcohol is the solution for a lot of these people's because they don't want to feel, they don't want to have the emotions, they don't want to have to deal with the things that they have to deal with. So we have coaching programs that are also incorporated into a lot of our programs because we can deal with the chemical side of it. And dealing with the chemical side of it is going to make a massive difference because if we can get your brain to a place where you feel good, you're going to be far more willing to deal with the trauma that's going to surface from that. And when we're dealing with recovering from alcohol or drug addiction, one of the things that happens is our brain is already crashed with endorphins, different hormones. Those things make it so that we're feeling so crappy that we don't want to deal with anything crappier in our lives, including the feelings that are coming from the trauma that we haven't dealt with. So what I find with laser is that we get their brain to a place where they don't feel terrible, where they're not feeling like their life is over because their endorphins have crashed. In fact, we get them back to an almost normal level, and then they're more willing to deal with the real problem, which is the trauma that created the use of these drugs in the first place. So for us, having people come back to a normal level in their brain allows them to be more willing to deal with the crap that surrounds their life and allows them to get back on track. So we do offer coaching programs within that, but then there's also options to use a 12-step program and different things like that. And when you're having your treatments, being able to have a normalized brain to start to function through some of the struggles is key. Now, one of the things that I will tell you is in our addictions program, our clients are also going to get a sugar treatment, which is really important because a lot of times our addicts will try to get clean. And when they get clean, they go immediately to eating a lot of sugar-based things. They'll drink a lot of pop, they'll eat a lot of candy, that type of thing. And the reason for that is because their brain reacts so well and dopamine levels are heightened when we eat sugar. So they'll go to sugar. So we actually release so many endorphins that they don't need to go to sugar, which is really helpful because it keeps the weight off, which a lot of people have a concern about when they're using or when they get off of drugs. We also give them a stress treatment, an anti-anxiety, and an antidepressant treatment. all of these things really contribute to making it so that they can see long-term success and that there's less suffering in their everyday life while they're recovering.
Right, right. Interesting. And Meridee, how do you tailor your program for different individuals, especially those who may be dealing with multiple addictions or co-occurring mental health challenges?
So it really depends on the person. But the treatment, each treatment specialist that I train is trained to really be paying attention to the person's physical body. That way, while we're doing the actual physical treatment, we can see the outcome that we're looking for. Then, as we move forward through that, our clients have access to text or call or email us. And I'm going to say 24/7. It doesn't mean the phone will be answered, but we work with them. We encourage people to get their own sponsors that will be there for them 24/7. But then we work with them through text, through phone, through email, as well as through coaching sessions to really help them understand in the moment what has triggered them from their past to push them forward into wanting to use again, or that is making them feel that they should go back to what they were doing before. So each one is really individually accustomed to each person so that we're able to work directly with them around their specific traumas.
Hmm, that's really effective. And on the flip side, if we think about it, critics may argue that no method can guarantee success in breaking addiction. How do you handle setbacks or clients who struggle despite going through your program?
So one of the major things that I will tell people when they come see me is that there's no miracle pill or miracle cure for any addiction. Otherwise, there wouldn't be addiction in the world. It's going to take some commitment from them. So the only way that I can guarantee you that you're going to be successful is if you can guarantee me that you're going to do every single thing that I tell you to do. And you can't guarantee me that. So I can't guarantee you that. Now, that being said, also, we don't know that every step that we take is going to work for you. If you did it, it might, and it probably would. But we need to ensure that the outcome is the best one for you, which is why we work so individually with each person. And it really depends on which package the person purchases as well, because we do have packages, like I said, that include full-on coaching, which means they meet with me weekly, plus they text me throughout the day, keeping in touch, accountability, all of the things. We have other packages that include just basic follow-up support. If they're struggling, they have, say, 9 till 9 for that support. And then we have other packages that offer very little support because people don't want that support. So it really depends on what the person wants. But what I tell everyone is your level of commitment and your level of desire to get yourself where you want to is going to have a huge impact on on your outcome. Now, that being said, we do have incredible success. And that is because the majority of people who come see us are looking for that outcome. And when they get it immediately, which is the big difference with us, is they're not waiting for this 7-day detox. They're not waiting for all of these things to happen. It happens pretty much immediately with the treatment. And then we work through the things that surface after that, which is another reason we're able to be so successful and have such high success rates.
Hmm, that's a great answer, Meridee. Um, Also, are there any specific kinds of addictions that you have seen people successfully overcome through LaserQuit, or it's like for everything and anything connected to addiction?
I want to say anything and everything connected to addiction because I have seen people overcome addiction to the hardest things, even because, for example, like food. Our addiction to food is one of the hardest. Food, sex, and your phone are the 3 hardest addictions to overcome because you still need to participate in them. You still need to eat in order to live. You can't give it up cold turkey. Most people still need a phone to function because of your job, because of your family. And sex is something that is supposed to be pleasurable. It's supposed to be a part of your life. So when we're telling ourselves we're just going to cold turkey it, it's just not a realistic thing to do. That being said, we do see amazing success with it, especially with ongoing treatments. The addictions that I've seen people overcome, methamphetamines, cocaine,
Mm.
heroin, We've gotten people who were able to come off of Suboxone and methadone, which are, supplemental drugs that are given to people who want to get sober, but that their body physically can't remove themselves from, say, heroin. Alcohol addiction is another major one. Smoking. Basically, we have seen people do every kind of addiction, from gambling, porn. All addiction is based around us trying to avoid feeling something, and then we find a solution. And that solution is whatever it is that's releasing massive amounts of endorphins for us. So it's based on our reward centers in our brain. And when we use the reward centers in our brain to give us a better feeling, we're always going to try and run back to that. So whatever it is that you're using, LaserQuit can release massive amounts of endorphins as well. And that's what gives us the amazing success that we have.
Great, great. That's really, really inspiring, really empowering, Meridee. Also, maintaining sobriety can be just as challenging as achieving it. So, how does your program support people in staying sober long term? And also, if I would like to add another part to this question, since you also support the community and you also have gone through the addiction, how do you maintain mindfulness and self-awareness to have a long-term impact on yourself?
So our long-term success typically comes from the use of continuous treatments for a minimum of a year. They can then choose to continue using treatments as they choose to after that 1 year period. We do have some people who just continue to come back because it's the only way for them to stay sober. But we also see people who don't need treatments anymore. Once we start the process of working on our mindfulness and our awareness around what needs to be healed in ourselves, it's hard to put sunglasses on to block yourself from that. So once you've started that process, it's an ongoing process that you'll probably go through for the rest of your life. And for me, that's exactly what it has been. So my process has been becoming aware, starting to heal my things. And then as I heal, of course, more things will surface for me to heal. So to stay away from the things, becoming mindful about what I'm doing in my life is what has made it so that I don't go back. So I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't smoke marijuana. I have zero vices. I will drink coffee, but I refuse to drink it every day because I don't want that addiction side of it. I don't have any vices that I use to cover stuff up. So recently, I actually just reconciled with my brother after not speaking to him for about 5 years. And the feelings that came with that reconciliation were incredibly uncomfortable. And I know in any other situation, or even who I was 10 years ago, I would have gone and smoked an insane amount of marijuana so that I didn't have to sit with those feelings. And I probably would have done that over at least a week's period of time so that I didn't have to ever sit with those feelings, so that I could find a way to shove them back down. Because I no longer participated in those things, I actually had to just sit with the feelings. I meditate, I use breathing, I use exercise, but nothing in excess, because as soon as I find something that makes me feel too good, I'm going to want to go in that direction again. Because when we have an addictive personality, we're addicted to whatever it is that we will find that will work for us. So you'll see a lot of people who will go from alcohol to smoking marijuana, or you'll see people who go from smoking cigarettes to smoking marijuana, or different things like that. We usually will trade one addiction for what we consider a healthier addiction. So even for me, I went from smoking cigarettes to instead addicted to the gym. Yeah, it was a better addiction in some ways, but in others it's an unhealthy one, because if you overwork yourself and not eat enough food, you still have negative consequences. And so for me, it's about doing things in a good amount without it going overboard, finding balance in everything that I'm doing, which it doesn't always work that way. There's times where, I'll work out way too much, or I'll work out not enough. There's times where, I will sometimes eat sugar even, which I don't typically do. So it really just depends, but it's about being aware of what I'm doing. And then if I'm, say, for example, eating sugar, I will ask myself if I'm trying to cover something up. What's going on with me that's making me want to eat sugar? Is it, because it's that time of the month because I'm a woman and my hormones kicked in? Is it because I just reconciled with my brother and I'm feeling all sorts of feelings because I had to own that a long time ago I was not the best person? So really it's becoming aware and mindful about yourself. And then once you become aware and mindful about yourself, finding practices that work for you to be able to work through whatever it is that's surfacing.
True, true. Lovely, lovely, Meridee. I think breaking free from addiction is one of the most courageous, toughest, and in fact, a transformative journey a person could take. So,
Agrees.
highly appreciate what you're doing for yourself as well as for others. I think community has the most important role to play here. When we support each other, when we share our transformative stories with one another, I think the addiction of cigarettes, smoking, drinking, or drugs, it goes away with the addiction of positive feelings.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful, Meridee. So, if our listeners they want to explore more about LaserQuit and also connect with you to share, their thoughts and feelings, how they can do that.
Yes. So you guys can find me on social media under LaserQuit.therapy. Or you can find me at our website, which is laserquit.net. The other thing is that we are partnering. So we are looking to expand all over the world, and we are partnering with various places and different companies in a way that we teach you how to operate. We teach you how to run your own company, essentially, or incorporate this into your own company. We teach you all of the treatments that we offer, ongoing support with that. And it's called licensing. So we're licensing people to work doing what we do and offer our services in different countries, in different states, all sorts of things. So if you're interested and you're thinking this is something that sounds like something you would be interested in doing, the cost is very low to get started. And we would be happy to have a conversation about what that looks like. Just go to our website and send us an email.
Lovely. That's really, really empowering. Once again, Meridee. We'll have all the details in the show notes for our listeners. And this was such an enlightening conversation, Meridee. Thank you so much for introducing to us LaserQuit, which is offering such a revolutionary, scientifically backed approach to making breaking free from addiction possible. So thank you for your efforts and thank you for introducing us to LaserQuit.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you guys all for listening. I appreciate it so much.
Lovely. Listeners, if today's discussion inspired you or someone you know to take that first step toward a healthier, addiction-free life, don't wait. Reach out to Meridee and explore how LaserQuit can support your journey or your loved ones. And thank you to everyone for tuning into the Mindful Living podcast. Remember, every small little step forward is progress, and you have the power to reclaim your happiness and well-being. Until next time, stay mindful, stay inspired, and keep living your best life. Remember, you are not alone. Thank you.